Olá pessoal, nós estamos no Papo Fair Especial hoje, por isso Charles saiu de trás das câmeras e veio para frente das câmeras. Charles is in front of the cameras. We are very honored to welcome our professor Thakur S Powdyel. Then we are starting in English and we've translate. But this is a talk fair. Then we'd like to, of course, welcome into the humble meet room here. Here is our meeting room, is our podcast room, is our office. It's all the same. It's so simple, but we invite for here only people who we really like. Then thank you for welcome, for accept to come. And we used to ask for the guests to introduce themselves. Then the first one is welcome, and who is Thakur S Powdyel?
Thank you and good afternoon, both the Kuzizangpala. It's wonderful to be here in this beautiful little space. You call it small, but even though physically this may be a small space, but I think it represents a very large heart and big minds and great ideas. A lot of things could be happening in this little space, and I congratulate Fair Job for setting up a very important initiative, and I think it sends out a very important message. All transactions, all businesses, all fairs ought to be defined by justice, fairness, and I think if there is the underpinning of fairness in all our activities, this world is going to be so much better and so much more peaceful. Fairness. It's a very unfair world, very imperfect, very unjust. So every little effort in the direction of fairness and justice is so much to be welcomed and admired. And talking about myself, I'm a non-entity. I'm hardly anybody. However, I belong to the human of the species. I honor humanity. I honor all that goes into the making of this world through the medium of the humanity of the humans. So basically I'm an educator, a teacher. I've been in this all my life, having shared my life, my ideals, my vision, my philosophy, my convictions about education. For me, education is not merely teaching and learning or acquiring information, getting a degree, and moving on to the next level of engagement. I believe that education is the noble sector. No other sector of public service has ever been described as the noble sector. I have been an educator all my life. Now, something like 40 years of engagement with the children and young people of Bhutan and beyond. And for me, education is so important. I believe that education is not simply about learning and acquiring information and knowledge, but education has actually been called the noble sector No other sector of public service has ever been called the noble sector, because education is meant to engage young people to cultivate the nobility of their mind, the nobility of their heart, thereby guiding them to cultivate the nobility of their hands. So if the head and the heart and the hands are engaged on the principle of nobility, the consequence of this engagement on the society, on the nation, on the world at large will be also very positive and noble. And schools, teachers, educational institutions are extremely important. Good teachers make good institutions. Good institutions make a good society, a good nation, and good nations make a good world. So that's why the making of a good world, the making of a better society begins with the education. And if education succeeds, no nation will fail. But education failing, no nation can succeed. That's why all my life I have looked at education and practiced education as an instrument of positive human empowerment, enabling people to find greater levels of flourishing, fulfillment, and self-actualization, not only as a means to an end, but also as a means in itself. An educated person, a wise person, is an asset to the society. That's why education can be an end in itself, but it ought to be also a means to a greater end, because it is a powerful instrument for the making of a good society, a good world, and thereby a good future for all people engaged in this task. So with all my limitations and my inadequacies, this is how I have looked at education all these years, some 4 decades now. And it's been so deeply fulfilling to see the result of your work. A result in the young men and women who you guide, who you take along with you, and these young men and women taking ownership of the society, becoming custodians, leaders of the society. Today I am so glad that my students are literally running the country. They're members of the parliament, members of the cabinet. They're looking after administration, management, diplomacy, professions, and wherever I go I meet them. So it was not simply running an institution, but preparing young people for leadership roles. And that is what exactly they are doing at the moment. So I'm basically a teacher, an educator.
So if I understand well, Thakur, I understand that building a society in well-being and happiness, it's more than an individual goal. It's almost a systemic approach, and we need to look forward more than the individual point of view when we're talking about these two subjects. Is it right?
Absolutely. Because whether it is peace or happiness, these have an individual dimension, but more importantly, they have a collective, institutional dimension. Because all human beings want to be happy, but the foundation of happiness is peace.
Yes.
Without peace, there can be no happiness. Peace is the very foundation, the baseline for happiness. And peace is to human beings what energy is to the sun. See, and without that vital life force, the sun cannot manifest itself in the brightness with the energy that it has. So in the same way, for human beings to manifest their humanity, to manifest their nobility, to manifest the potential that they have for doing the good things that the world needs, is peace. So, peace is a way for human beings to be humans. Peace actually manifests the nobility, the goodness, the capacity for being a good individual begins with one's capacity for peace. So the world is filled with a lot of unhappiness, absence of peace, and very often one thinks that humanity has lost its essential nature that is built on peace. So that's why, whether it is in the family, in our individual lives, in institutional lives, organizational, social lives, in national life, peace is so important. But peace cannot be taken for granted. Peace has to be worked on all the time. We have to consciously, deliberately want peace. We have to work for peace. We have to build peace, but also maintain peace. It ought to be the normal condition of life. It ought to be the normal condition of the society and the nation. And that gives confidence for people to be creative, for people to be imaginative, productive, to make the world a better place. So without peace, people will have no incentive to work for the betterment of the world. So it's so basic. So it is not just individuals. We have to work collectively. Because the society is made up of individuals. And together we make the society. Together we make the nation. Together we make the world. So many is better than one. So that's why we succeed together. We succeed together. So my happiness cannot be built on the unhappiness of others. My peace cannot be built on the peacelessness of others. So that's why peace has got to be a collective dream, a collective effort, and also the collective fruit of the action of individual men and women who together can make a positive difference to the way things are. There's no other way. See. You wonder as to how human beings can be so inhuman at times. What is it that moves human beings to get into conflicts, to get into wars, to kill each other, to wage wars with others? This, I feel, is so inhuman, so unbecoming of human beings. Human beings are supposed to be the most highly evolved of all beings, all species. We are called Homo sapiens, rational beings. So where is that rationality that ought to define human thought and human action, thereby making the world a better place? I feel that we are still evolving, and evolution ought to be in the direction of becoming better. Simply getting rid of the tail does not make us humans. We have to rise to a higher level of humanity, a higher level of cooperation, a higher level of peace and harmony. That's how we manifest ourselves as the human of the species. There's no other way around. See.
As individuals, as companies, and as society, right? On the three
Absolutely,
levels.
yes.
Yeah.
But I believe all begin with the individual.
Yes.
How we can manage this emotional skill to be in peace with us and with others, because we trying to explain to teach this, but it's so hard. Like in the world with also hyper connected. The traffic you see today, you said all the people fighting in the traffic, fighting. How we can manage? How we can teach this skill of peace, the peaceful?
I think the way to peace is the way inward. Yes. We have to begin with an appreciation of who we are. Yes. This life is such a precious blessing. Life is so precious. It is so valuable. All lives are precious. So whether it is the most destitute person or the most well-off person, whether it is affluence or adversity, for people as they live their life is so precious. That's why even till the last breath there is in our life, we continue to hope that we get better, that we become normal, gain or regain our normal health. Even on our deathbed, we still hope that we get better. We want to become or regain normal health. Even the child torn between warring parties cries for survival, cries for life. And this love of life and appreciation of the preciousness of life is sacred, ought to actually be something that we need to consider all the time. I feel that it is a blessing that we are born as human beings, and we ought to appreciate the fact that we have been gifted this life, a body with all sets of abilities, the eyes to see the world, the eyes, so very precious. This life has that gift, the eyes to discover, to see, and to appreciate the beauty, the sights, and the variety of the world, of nature. Very often people do not take care of what they have. Eyes, this is a gift. The ears, with the help of the ears, we receive the world. We receive all these impulses of the external world. We hear the sounds, and immediately we can identify whether it is a human sound or an animal sound or a bird sound or the sound of an automobile, the cry of a baby, the shout of an adult. These sounds we can make out, or whether it is the sounds that emanate from the kitchen, from the workshop, or from people walking. So, and our ears are able to register these, and we know the world through recording these sounds. Imagine the world if we weren't able to hear all the stimuli of the universe. And I think it is important for people to understand these gifts. The gift of smell, whether it is sweet smell or foul smell, the power of smelling allows us to discover the world. Yes, when we go to a chemistry lab, we are able to appreciate the different kinds of smells, or in a garden, or walking along the highways, or perhaps in a paddy field, ripe paddy field, the fragrance of flowers, the fragrance of ripe corn. We are able to register that, and we are able to describe what season it is by the smell that we get. So the touch, we touch, this wonderful gift of touching. We touch and we know the world. Whether the world is hot or cold, the surface is rough or smooth, whether it is square or round, we can feel it. Whether it is long or short, whether it is hard or soft. So the ability to touch is such an important blessing. And the ability to, to see, to smell, to hear, to touch, and to feel. So all these abilities are with us. Very often we don't care. We are so concerned about the external world, But as the second Secretary General of the United Nations Organization, Dag Hammarskjöld, would say, the longest journey is the journey inward. Look inside. Appreciate who you are. Appreciate the blessing that this life is. So we have to take care of this precious life, of this blessing. And I think if human beings are able to understand how precious this life is, how blessed we are with these gifts, we can hear, we can see, we can touch, we can smell, we can taste. So these abilities are a blessing. We don't use them as we ought to. The sharper these gifts are, the more sensitive these gifts are, the better off we are to understand the world. But very often we have eyes that are meant to see, but we use them to unsee, deliberately. Our ears are meant to hear. We use them to unhear, to unsmell, to untouch, to unsee, unhear. We become less than humans. So I think to connect with the others, to make a difference, it is important to make the most of who we are as the human of the species. Rise to a higher level of humanity. Manifest the gift that has been granted to us by the Creator. So I feel that while it is important to discover the world, the external world, the material world, the physical world, it's even more important to discover who we are, what capacities we have, what gifts we have, and bring those gifts to bear on the relationship that we form, that we establish with the world outside. And I think our relationship is going to be that much better, that much more fulfilling and rewarding.
It's funny you talk about smells, because I have a strong emotional connection with the smell of my hometown.
Yes.
But connecting with our modern life and our urban life, do you believe that the fact that we now in modern days live in big cities and we are far from nature. Do you believe that this probably should be the reason that we lost the capacity of identify the preciousness of life, the preciousness of nature, and then losing ground or losing connection with this capacity of appreciation?
I think so. We human beings are meant to be with nature.
Mhm.
We are meant to be close to the soil.
Mhm.
Yes. We are meant to drink the water,
Mhm.
that natural water that Mother Nature has given us.
Mhm.
Breathe the air, that natural air that is a gift of Mother Nature.
Mhm.
We are supposed to receive oxygen from the plants, that natural, authentic, life-giving oxygen, life-giving water, life-giving air, life-giving soil. See. Human beings are meant to be with the Mother Nature. We are a part of Mother Nature, not apart from nature, Mother Nature. See. We are not independent of Mother Nature. See. But unfortunately, through urbanization, industrialization, mechanization, our life is becoming deadened, is becoming insensitive, and I feel to the extent that we are alienated from the life-giving energy of Mother Nature, the gifts of Mother Nature. I think our life becomes that much less natural, less fulfilling, less satisfying. That's why even living in urban areas, it's important for us to create, however small it may be, an environment where we can still see the flowers, see the plants, see the animals. And if these are not available in urban areas, maybe take a break and go connect with Mother Nature. Because today that disconnection, that fragmentation of our relationship with Mother Nature is making our life so artificial, so unnatural, and therefore so unfulfilling. See.
As well as eating real food with real ingredients.
Yes, indeed. Yes. So very important. And Nina was saying that now she's into nutrition, and yes, so real nutrition, that comes from yes, from our farms. Yes.
Yeah. You wrote a book, the Green Book,
Yeah.
My Green School.
My green school.
Yes. We had the opportunity to visit elementary school, a green school at Butão.
Yes.
And we realized the small kids, the child, learning about emotional balance.
Yes.
Learning about playing in the field,
That's true.
draw
Yeah.
with the exercise of mental health,
Yeah.
of emotional balance. Do you believe in this? Is it possible, like professor, is it possible to teach adults to make this?
I think it is, because even adults, we have the same hunger, we have the same thirst. The constant impulse of human beings is to remain a child,
Yeah.
is to remain a baby. See. Yes, so innocent, yes, unpressured, yes, natural, authentic. Deep inside, we always carry a baby we carry the child. And the child yearns. The child yearns for those connections. And that is the reason why I feel adults, elderly people also respond very positively and very emotionally with those life-affirming stimuli. What affirms life, not what negates life. Human beings by nature, however removed they may be from the natural elements, deep inside they carry that longing, that yearning for fulfillment of those natural instincts, the natural hunger, the natural thirst. So I feel it's a question of time, but human beings will always come back to themselves, the child in us, the baby in us. Yes, as grown up, as old as we might be. Yes.
How and why did the concept of gross national happiness arise? Where did it come from? How does it connect with all these concepts and subjects we just talked about?
Yes, I think happiness comes from life. Yes, it is always there. It's always there. Who doesn't want to be happy? So far, in my travels, which have not been extensive, I have not met a single person who doesn't want to be happy. Yes, everybody wants to be happy. And the fourth king of Bhutan realized that the ultimate goal of all human beings, regardless of time and space, is to be happy. And if this is the case, if all men, women and children want to be happy, it must be a responsibility of the state to create conditions that promote happiness. So happiness is the most universal yearning of all human beings. And if that is so, we have to accept it. We have to admit it. And if we're talking about nations and states, governments, it will be the responsibility of governments to create conditions in which the citizens, the people, can experience a state of happiness and well-being. So, a desire for happiness comes from the deep core of human beings. It is there in all of us. This is where it comes from. Yes.
And do you believe that there's a connection between well-being and happiness? How does it meet one another?
I think a sense of well-being creates happiness. So I have to feel that I am safe, that I have no reason to fear for my life. So I have to have a sense of well-being, a sense of security. And security could be physical security, it could be economic security, emotional security, psychological security, spiritual security, and ethical security. See, I'm able to exercise my judgment in the highest form of being able to make distinctions between right and wrong, good and bad, truth and falsehood. So, and these possibilities of expressing myself in without fear, without anxiety, without worry, but as I am, as I wish to be, that sense of well-being naturally contributes to a sense of happiness.
And how then gross national happiness integrates all these variables?
Oh, it does very well, because gross national happiness, the architecture of gross national happiness is founded on what we call 4 pillars. And these 4 pillars are very important. We could have more pillars or fewer pillars, but we believe in Bhutan that these 4 pillars are adequate enough to actually create the environment that would contribute to an experience of happiness. There ought to be balanced and equitable socio-economic development. That is the first pillar. The second pillar is the need to take care of our natural environment. So conservation of the natural environment is very important. Today we are talking about all kinds of natural calamities, the ill health of our planet Earth, the air that we breathe, the water that we drink. The environment is not always conducive to the well-being of our lives. So the natural environment is very important. For us, culture is very important. Culture, tradition, our heritage, our belief systems, our sense of right and wrong, our worldview, our outlook, our tangible culture, our intangible culture, our beliefs. All these are very important. So that's the third pillar of gross national happiness. The fourth pillar, of course, is governance. Governance is so basic. If governance is good, it can create happiness. It can build happiness. But by the same token, bad governance could be the cause of a lot of unhappiness. There are so many countries around the world where governance is very bad, and that's why the people don't feel comfortable, they don't feel happy, they don't feel secure. So governance cuts across all these other pillars. Good governance will ensure that opportunities for development are equitably shared amongst the citizens. Good governance will also ensure that the environment is protected, the culture, tradition, and our heritage are taken care of. So governance is so very important, so basic. And of course, these 4 pillars are again broken down into what we call 9 domains. All these are important, health, education, economic well-being, community vitality, and governance itself. Cultural vitality, environment. And so if we are able to take care of these, we feel that we will be able to build an environment where people can be reasonably happy and taken care of.
And how we can improve this happiness and internal happiness, internal happiness at the companies, at the organizations. Do you believe the organizations can be improved this model, this philosophy?
I think it is so important. It's so important because all organizations are made by people. We, of course, now maybe there are all kinds of technologically produced products. They can like the robots and all the other creations of this technological revolution. However, I think even now, no factory, no corporation, no company has completely eliminated the human factor. I think for a long time, human beings are going to be employed in companies. And of course, if it is a fully machine-run organization, that's a different matter. You can just order the machine to do whatever you want it to do, but it cannot feel, it cannot have these emotions. You cannot look at a face and understand that today perhaps somebody is not very well, or maybe something is happening at home. So we have to understand those emotions, the language of the face, the language of the eyes, what is the internal climate of individuals. So that's why I think since companies are made up of people, we have to take care of the people. You take care of the people, and the people will take care of your companies. So that's why I think the health of the people will translate into the health of the companies. The well-being of the people will translate into the well-being of the company. The success of the people will translate into the success of companies and organizations. So I think the bottom line is human beings matter, and they need to be honored as human beings. And when they know that they matter, that they are honored, respected, acknowledged as human beings, I think wonders can happen. Yes.
Yes, I agree.
At the end of the day, companies are almost like small samples of the society.
Oh yes.
So we're talking about human beings, we are talking about rules to connect and to exchange. We're talking of the same relations and the same ecosystem as we see in societies.
Yeah.
So that's why it seems to have so much it seems to be so obvious that the same rules that we have from societies and from the gross national happiness may apply to companies, but some things needs to be adapted.
Oh yes.
Because even if it seems to be the same group of persons, the relations between companies and employees,
Yes.
and a society of citizens and a nation,
Yeah.
are different.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you think that we could which words are correct to make one different from the other? Why is it important to implement differently the gross national happiness for companies and for citizen nations?
I think there's no need to implement different approaches. Some of the important things are common to all organizations. They could be micro organizations, like a small companies, and the society is a much larger. It's a macrocosm, and bigger than the society, the nation. So it's still bigger macrocosm. So, but in an ideal situation, for example, the family is supposed to be very warm and caring and a comfortable place in which everybody flourishes, everybody feels valued. In the same way, the company is supposed to be an extension of the family, see. And if the company is viewed as a family, the way you understand the operation of the company will be different. Yes, you treat each other with care, with compassion, with love, as you would do in a family. So I think the company is a microcosm of the society, but it can be a lot simpler, because the society is a very complex organism. It's very complex. There are so many elements that together make the society, and all those different elements may not operate, may not be available in a company. See? And when it comes to the nation is a very multi-layered, complex organization. So what the nation represents may not be represented in totality in a company or factory. So the scope is different. The scope of a company would be smaller than the scope of a society. the scope of a society will be smaller than the scope of the nation at large. See? So it's a question of difference in scope. But in terms of the working principles, they ought to be similar because they are all made up of people. See?
I like very much the idea of the vocation, the objective of a company similar to family.
Oh yes.
It's about making people flourishing.
Oh, that's right.
It's
So
absolutely wonderful.
yes. So
This is so strong.
so,
Yesterday we talked about one answer a child made you, like how the job, what a minister do.
oh yes.
Could you tell, because I think this is a perfect example of leadership. Could you repeat this for our audience?
This comes from a little visit, I made to a school. When I was in the Ministry of Education, I would travel extensively across the country. I would have visited about 80% of my schools.
Have you been in Lunana?
Oh yes.
Because it was a move.
Movie, yes. There's a movie on this. So before the movie came, I was already up there, see. And so I thought I should visit the remotest school in the country, the most remote school in the country, to celebrate the International Literacy Day that falls on the 8th of September with the children, the teachers and the community of that remote village, Lunana. So in 2011 I traveled. I trekked 7 days to get there. People take 10 days to get there, but we made it in 7 days.
7 days.
Every single day. We were walking anywhere between 7 and 10 hours a day. See? Yes. But
height.
oh yes. On the way up, you cross a mountain pass, 16,400 feet.
This is amazing.
On the way back, you can take another route, which I did. There is 17,100 feet. This, how high these mountain passes are.
It's very dangerous too.
Oh, very dangerous. You could die anywhere, anytime. On the ways, you could sink into a very deep hollow in the ice because the top is covered by a layer of ice. You can't see it, but by mistake, if you happen to step on that thin layer of ice, you could actually sink and never come out. You could freeze to death there, see. And you can't breathe properly because the air is so thin, see. And you could get sick, you could throw up. So it's a big adventure. But I thought, if my students are studying there, if my fellow teachers are working there, if my fellow citizens are working there, why shouldn't I go and visit them, to see as to how they're working? So I would travel extensively. So I would have visited something like 80% of the schools and met about 80% of the children and the teachers in my 5 years in the ministry. So during one of those visits, I was invited to speak to the children in the morning assembly. In Bhutan, we have morning assemblies. We begin the day with the morning assembly, as you would have seen. And all the children, in fact, gather in front of the school building in the courtyard. We sing our national anthem every single morning. We sing our national anthem, then we hoist the national flag. Then there are some announcements, some speeches, and if there's a visitor, they are asked to also address the gathering. So during one of those visits, I was asked to come and visit the school and address the morning assembly. So I had some time after I finished my little talk, so I asked the children, I can't get to come and visit your school every now and then. I'm here today, so if you have some questions, I'll try and answer to those. And if I'm not able to answer your questions, there are your teachers and the principal is there, so they will all help me answer your questions. And in Bhutan, as you know, our children are very shy and reserved.
Mm-hmm.
They take a long time to collect the courage, to ask questions. So I had to prod them quite a bit, So finally, at long last, a child, I think she was in class 5,
Wow.
about 11 years old, I guess. She stepped out of the line and asked me the most beautiful question I'd ever heard. She asked me, "What does a minister do?" What does a minister do? On the face of it, it looks so simple, so simple. But when you look at it, it's so difficult.
Yeah.
How would I answer this child? What does the minister do? Normally, the answer would be a minister sits in the office, gives orders, signs papers, attends meetings, and travels around. So this would be perhaps the normal answer. But I have lived my life and carried out my public service on the principle of this old Latin root of the word minister. It comes from Latin, and the Latin word is ministrare. Ministrare. Ministrare is to serve. So as a minister, you are there to serve. So I told the child, as a minister, my job is to serve you, the children of Bhutan. My job is to serve my fellow teachers, my fellow citizens. My job as a minister is to serve my king and my country. That is my job. So I am a servant to serve all of you in the country. At that point in time, everybody relaxed, So, and then they felt that, yes, this was a different answer. Yes. And this is how it is.
Mm-hmm.
As a minister,
Mm-hmm.
you are to serve.
Mm-hmm.
You have to serve. You are there not to occupy a position, not to be proud of your rank or power or authority, but you are there to serve. You have a very special space and opportunity to serve, to be of use to your fellow citizens, to the members of the society. Otherwise, if you're very proud of your position and power, you become arrogant,
Mm-hmm.
you become proud, you become egoistic or egotistical, and that pride consumes you, it diminishes you, it lowers you. But if you look at your position from the position of, or from the perspective of service, from the point of view of service, you're there to serve. Then you rise, you become better. What you do becomes that much more fulfilling, that much more worthwhile and meaningful. You are there to serve. And I think all of us have a role. All of us have a role. By role, I may be a teacher. By role, somebody may be a doctor or an engineer. By role, somebody must be a company executive. Somebody could be a parliamentarian or a diplomat. Somebody could be a pilot. Somebody could be a cook. Somebody could be a cleaner. All these are our roles. But every role has a soul. Every role has a soul. And we have to remember that our role has a purpose. Our role was created with the intention of manifesting a bigger purpose. But if you forget the soul of your role, if you get caught up in your role, you become consumed by the role, you become arrogant, you develop airs around you, then you get divorced from that soul. you move farther and farther away from their soul. And the more distant the role becomes from the soul, the less effective you are, the less meaningful and relevant your job becomes. That is why it is important for the role to keep returning to its soul for nourishment, for revitalization, for validation, and for its blessings. To remain relevant, to remain vital, and to remain worthwhile. Otherwise, the role diminishes over time. It becomes smaller and smaller, and it can disappear. See, you may be occupying a chair, but nothing happens through that chair. See, but if you are mindful and thoughtful of the soul of your role, then you continue growing in that role. You continue becoming relevant. You continue serving. You justify your being there on a bigger purpose, on a bigger level of relevance and purpose.
Yes, we realize, working in an organization, we realize that I think the biggest, or one of the biggest enemy of companies is the ego.
I think so.
And how transform ego from eco? How we can teach this for our leaders?
I think leaders are also human beings. So ultimately, I think we have to invoke the humanity of the leaders. We have to invoke their nobler selves, the higher selves. I think it is difficult to antagonize them, difficult to incur their wrath or pride, because they're very sensitive, they're very possessive about their place. So how to cultivate their higher self, their better self, their nobler self? I think because leaders are also, CEOs are also human beings, I'm sure they'll respond to these positive calls. And I think now there is so much happening around the world in terms of research into positive psychology, research into managing human affairs. So I think now there is a positive shift towards a more welcoming, more accommodating, a much more inclusive environment. And if CEOs are going to do that, I think soon they will be out of service. I think there's a greater realization now than it used to be in the past. And of course, the public is assessing them all the time. Yes, the public is in fact monitoring them all the time. There's the social media, there's the mainstream media, there's the vigilant public. So I think they are under scrutiny all the time. But I think it's also important to have more direct, more immediate interventions, and organizations like Fair Job can actually, I think, move the leaders. I think the important thing would be to provide counter alternatives. Yes, this is what is happening somewhere, and this is what this company can also do, and this is how they did. So provide examples, scenarios. Provide scenarios where good things are happening, and there are a lot of good examples. So, and I think the leaders will respond positively towards those those alternative scenarios and also change themselves to some extent. Yes, so I don't think it's possible to change them overnight. It has to be slow and incremental, and they have to their pride, their ego will also have to be protected. So, for example, when I was in the ministry, my children also used to go to the local schools, and at times whenever I had some free time, I would look at the notebooks of my children, and how the teachers, how they were doing, how the children were doing, and someday I would see the remarks made by the teachers, and some of the answers would be incorrect, but still the teacher would have marked it correct, you see. So I had two ways to look at that kind of a situation. Either I could tell the child, my son, my children, oh, this is not how it should be, your teacher is wrong, your teacher is wrong, this is how it should be. I could say that and correct the mistake, right? But if I did that, the child would have a very poor opinion of the teacher, see. The child would lose trust and respect towards the teacher. And as the minister, I cannot have the child lose trust in my teachers. I have to protect the teachers, see. I have to protect their respect. If I say to the child, your teacher is wrong, I'm diminishing them. I'm destroying, my fellow teachers' respect and honor. But at the same time, I have to also make sure that the child learns the correct things. Yes, so I would have to balance, this very delicate situation of protecting the respect of the teacher, the honor, the position of the teacher, but at the same time, provide the correct answer to the child. So in the same way, I think approaching the leaders would have to be also handled very sensitively. They could be put off, they could be arrogant, then they could be very aggressive, see. So that's how we deal with them is also very important.
Very nice. Very nice.
That's it?
That's it. I'd like to thank you very much for your friendship, for your
time, for your presence.
Time. Yes. Because we learn a lot. I visit Bhutan. I know this is true. This is your practice. You are walk the talk.
It's so important, for especially if you are a teacher, if you are an educator. We are all in leadership positions. Nina is in her own way a leader. So what difference she makes in the environment in which she works. All of us, what difference we make. This is so important. And especially for a teacher, you carry such a big responsibility. There are young people, they look up to you. And you owe it to them to be your best. See, you cannot be any other thing. See, that's why doing what one says is important. And that is called integrity. That's called integrity.
Yes.
Integrity is so basic in all our roles. Yes. If I say one thing and do something else, you may be doing something in public and something quite different in private. Teachers have only one life. It's only public life. There is no private life. You cannot do something wrong in your private life, but right in your public life. It simply doesn't work. So you have to believe in what you do, see, and do what you believe, see. So that's integrity, see.
Absolutely.
And integrity is so important. It's important in the family. It's important in the companies, in institutions. It's important in governance. So if the leader says something and do something else, there is no integrity. People don't trust them, see. And if you don't trust your leaders, then the system collapses. It's as simple as that.
I think I take the word again. I'll take away the word of this conversation. For me, it was flourish. So if we can imagine that in our individual surrounding, in our professional surrounding, and as a member of society, we daily focus on helping people flourishing around us, I think we have the answer, and all the integrity, transparency, walk the talk, and all the other words that we mentioned here today.
I think it's so important. My students are now, these are very senior people in the government now. They're running institutions. But even now when I hear that before they decide on anything, they'll think, if I do this, would Sir approve of it? Yes. If he hears it, how will he take it? So that's how, they still feel that, okay, there's got to be a point of reference. See? And if you have done a good job, if you have integrity, you become a point of reference. I see. And it's so important. And Bhutan is so small, and we know each other. And it's important. Of course, you may believe like that, but today everybody wants to do things for themselves. They want to succeed in their own way. They want to flourish. And sometimes people take shortcuts. And integrity is very costly.
Definitely.
It's very costly. Not everybody can maintain integrity. See, and especially in today's time, day and age. Yes, people feel that if you're very idealistic, things won't work. And you have to be smart. And by smart, you have to be street smart. You have to tell lies, as long as you succeed. See? So if the end is to win, it doesn't matter what means you use to win. See? But for me, I cannot do that. If the end is noble, the means to that end would have to be noble as well. See? Yes, it didn't go any other way around.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Come to in front of the cameras also, because you are the team. You are all the team.
Very good. Yes, sir.
Then we need to thank a lot.
Not at all. It's a joy, sir.
For your.
You're very welcome, sir. You're very welcome, sir, my brother. Thank you so much. Yes,
Thank you,
Anina. Thank you so much. Yes, sir.